We're beginning our first in this year's series of interviews with 2024 PMEA All-State Conductors on today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. As I mentioned, we're starting our series that we do every year where we talk to all of the guest conductors who will be part of the All-State Festival, which is coming up here very soon. So today on this podcast, we are talking to the conductors of the new a cappella ensemble as well as the jazz ensemble. So we're going to start with a cappella since it's new to us. So that's the perfect one to start off with. So delighted to have with us Rob Dietz, who is the inaugural conductor of the very first PMEA All-State Contemporary Ensemble. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. Good to be here.
So let's start off with, tell us a little about yourself, so to familiarize yourself with, to the students who will be there and also many of the directors who will be part of this.
Sure. Well, my name is Rob Dietz, and these days I'm a Los Angeles-based arranger, composer, and teacher performer of contemporary a cappella music. So what that means is I basically do kind of the pentatonics pitch perfect glee thing full time. I got my start out here working for a show called The Sing Off, which was the show that the pentatonics came from. And after I came out here to work on that show, I wound up just staying. And these days, most of what I do is a cappella arranging. So I get commissions from groups from all over the world, and I turn songs into contemporary a cappella pieces for groups everywhere. In addition to that, I do a lot of teaching. I go around and do honor groups like this. I have a summer program called A Cappella Academy that happens each summer out here at Scripps College in Claremont, California. And I run a year-round choir called Academy Choir Los Angeles, which is the offshoot of that summer camp. So a lot of directing, a lot of teaching, and a lot of pop singing and contemporary a cappella.
All right, so that's the perfect resume is for the person to start this off for us to do our first contemporary a cappella. So let's talk about the musical program that you have come up with for the 2024 All-State Ensemble. Tell us about it.
Totally. So I'm really excited about this program. It's a really cool balance of older songs and newer songs. I think that's one of the things that's so cool about contemporary a cappella is that you can do so many different styles and it's still in the family of contemporary a cappella. So we've got some older classics like I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. We've got some really old classics like Moon River, which is going to be a little bit more of like a contemporary jazz arrangement. But then we also have kind of newer stuff like What Was I Made For from the new Barbie movie that just came out. Nothing Breaks Like a Heart is one of the newer ones that we're going to do. So we've really got a pretty cool variety of stuff in the program, which I'm excited about, not just because the audience will get to experience a really wide variety of music, but also because our singers will be able to communicate a really wide variety of music. And we've got a lot of opportunities for a lot of different kinds of vocalists to really shine in the set. So I'm really excited about that. Also, really, really great arrangement of Let It Be that I'm pumped about from my friend James Rose over in the UK. Really wonderful chart that just has a cool balance of like pop harmony, but also just contemporary jazz harmony. So a lot of sort of contemporary jazz influence in the set, but also, yeah, a little country, a lot of pop, I should say. A lot of pop in the set. But yeah, little influence from a lot of different things. So excited to have opportunities for a lot of people to shine and for a lot of different audience members to enjoy a lot of different kinds of music.
Yeah, really, really neat. So let's talk about that experience for the students who are going to be part of this. So what are you hoping that they're going to get out of their experience in this ensemble?
From a musical standpoint, I hope they get to explore kind of a different style of singing than they might get to in their normal choral experience. Singing with a group like this, it's a very sort of different style of vocal production and a different kind of way about approaching articulation and phrasing and stuff like that. And it's a way of doing things that I think is very fun. It's very exciting. And it's also really good for just sort of making yourself into a more well-rounded singer. I think that learning how to sing pop music in a really, healthy, sustainable way can teach you a lot about your instrument. That's very applicable to all styles of music. So I'm really pumped to bring that experience to these students and let them sort of play around with different vocal tones that they maybe haven't gotten to do before, or maybe don't get to do so much in their normal choral lives. And to do it with an ensemble like this, where everybody is so great. And it's a smaller ensemble, so people can really bring their own artistry into the music as well. There's a little bit more room for independent. If people want to add a little run or a little riff here, we can do that. We can play around with tone a little bit more because it's a smaller group. So we don't have to unify a sound with 150 singers. We can work on 25 voices matching something that's a little bit more nuanced. So really excited to just get to play around with that and get to offer that experience.
So I'm always curious, when I talk to conductors, what's it like for you? What is it like for you to come and say, all right, I'm going to do this honors ensemble of these musicians, come from all over the state. This is the first time they're together in this situation. What is it like? Is there some nerves? What are your feelings?
Yeah, nerves, but good nerves. Yeah, it's always exciting to get to do this because it's not, the music is great. The caliber of the music is great. It's always amazing to make great music with great singers who are really excited and want to be there. But it's also cool just to build connection, right? To get to sing with singers from all over the state, people that you probably haven't worked with before. And to get to do it on, music that is music that from just the radio, from your everyday life, music that's very accessible and, stuff that people just know is really exciting. So, I know that everybody is going to come very prepared. So I have very high hopes and expectations for the level of musicianship, but I'm not really nervous about that. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to just offer this space for people not only to make great music, but to also connect with each other. And I hope that, we'll come out of this experience as a team. Because that's something that's so great about a cappella groups is that, you can't really do it alone. You have to have a team around you. You have to have a great group to sing with. So I'm excited to have that experience with this group and come out of it, with a real team mindset.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what comes of it as well. So as students are preparing here, as this gets closer and closer, here's what I want to know: what is the one thing that you would want the students to know about you before they arrive in Erie for the All-State Festival?
I always tell students, I'm here to help you succeed, right? So, I want to know, what you need to be successful, if that's learning tracks, if that's some extra help, if that's, whatever you feel like you need to get your part down so that you can come and just give the best of yourself musically. That's what I want to be here for. So, I'm here for you, and I'm here to really facilitate as great an experience as I can for you. But I want you to, to use me as a resource. And I also want you to bring in your artistry. I always think I was talking about, the group is a little bit smaller, so there's a little bit more room to play. I always love it when singers really bring in their voice to a rehearsal. I want you to try, sing with a little style, sing it like you. And then my job as a director is to take all those individual styles and make them into something that works together. But I can't do that until you bring your style into rehearsal. So, please bring that in, and, we'll play around together. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, we can't wait for it. It is quickly approaching, even though it might seem like it's still weeks away. We know how quickly time goes. So
Before you know
we're
it.
looking forward to having you be in Pennsylvania and bringing some wonderful California weather with you. If you could do
I'll
that,
try.
we would appreciate that.
I'll definitely try.
All right, Rob, thanks for joining us.
Good to see you. Thank you.
All right, and now we are joined by this year's All-State Jazz Ensemble guest conductor, Dr. Jason Kush. Jason, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you here, and we're really excited to see you in Erie, here in April. So let's start with kind of like what I like to do with the guest conductors and just do a level set, like, what's the elevator speech? Tell us who you are.
Well, I am a product of PMEA myself. I'm from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Did all the District 6 festivals. I was a graduate of, or I am a graduate of Richland High School, where Michael Bodolowski was my director, and he inspired me a lot in music and inspired me to be a music educator and be continuing with performance professionally. Then I went on, got a music ed degree at Slippery Rock, where I was under the tutelage of Terry Steele, a great saxophone player and teacher there, and played in the jazz bands of Steve Hawk. And after that, I was starting to play professionally. I moved to Miami, Florida, got a master's and doctorate degree at the University of Miami. and was playing professionally down there, was thinking that I would end up having a career that was performing and teaching in Miami. And then the opportunity arose to return to Slippery Rock, my alma mater, and to teach saxophone and run the jazz ensemble there. So that's what I'm doing now. I balance a very busy schedule between my family at home. I've got 9 and 11-year-old children who are very busy and love spending time with them. Balancing that with teaching at Slippery Rock University, and I also have an artist lecturer position at Carnegie Mellon University, where I'm teaching mostly graduate students, and I do quite a bit of performing. I just got off a week of playing with the Pittsburgh Symphony, where we did Romeo and Juliet, some tenor saxophone on that. And I have my own jazz quartet, have an album out titled Finally Friday, so busy continuing to promote that and to travel around performing that music. So that's me in a nutshell for right now.
Yeah, I love the full circle moments with guest conductors, when like I was in a PMEA ensemble and now you're on the podium for it. I love it. That's so cool.
Well, what's particularly special for me, and I wanted to make sure to mention this today, is that I was a member of the All-State Jazz Ensemble in 1999 with Neil Slater as the conductor, and in 2000 with Mike Tamaro as the conductor. And that was pretty much my greatest goal during high school, was to make the All-State Jazz Ensemble. Of course, I worked through district or honors band and district band and region band, and trying to get up into the concert band of All-State at that time. At that time, there wasn't the wind ensemble and concert band situation that there is now. But getting that direct audition into All-State Jazz was rather intimidating. The material was very difficult, and it was kind of my ultimate goal in high school. So when I got in as a junior, I didn't make it my sophomore year, but as a junior, I got in there in the saxophone section. And so it's really a pretty heavy thing for me to have the opportunity to return now as conductor with that group.
So let's talk a little bit about then the group this year. Talk about the musical program that you've selected for the 2024 Jazz Ensemble.
I'm really excited about the program, and I want to take a moment here to thank Mary Lynn for this opportunity to be in front of the All-State Jazz Ensemble in Pennsylvania. Mary Lynn Peters, thank you so much. And when Mary Lynn said we need a program and we need it pretty soon, I was like almost losing sleep over it, because there's just so much I wanted to program and to stay within the time limits of the set and so forth. There was so much music that I wanted to feature, because I'm really passionate about everything that we do in the jazz ensemble, the great diversity of styles that we have, all of the American history that is built into this ensemble and this music. So, of course, I really wanted to make sure to include some of the big band classics. Particularly on this set, we do 2 that are from the Count Basie Orchestra. So those are like super high energy, swinging, blues-oriented tunes. One of them was written for the Count Basie Orchestra, but is a Duke Ellington tune, and that's titled In a Mellow Tone. It's a very famous arrangement of that with a killer saxophone solo. So I'm super excited about hearing the saxophone section tackle that very difficult solo. Also have a tune by Dizzy Gillespie, A Night in Tunisia, which is kind of sort of a jazz pop song. It's a very challenging arrangement of that by Michael Philip Mossman. We also have sort of a lesser known tune by Pittsburgh composer Mary Lou Williams, who was a great jazz pianist that combined jazz with sacred music, and she's got a great catalog of stuff that is now available through publications, through eJazz Lines. So we're going to do Shafi, and that features lead alto saxophone. We're also doing a great composition by Maria Schneider called My Lament. That's going to feature first tenor. And it's just a beautiful, simplistic ballad that has a real grow and release to it at the end. And then we're going to close with a tune that was written last year by Mike Tamaro. It's titled Wong Way, as in Corey Wong, who's super popular right now. Is a great kind of funk guitarist that's touring around. And so Mike's original tune titled Wong Way is just very, very high energy. There's a lot of punchy horn parts, space for guitar and tenor saxophone solo, maybe other solos. We'll see what happens. But that basically rounds out the set.
All right. Yeah, very cool. So you sat then, in the ensemble those many years ago. Now that you're on the other side, I'm curious then, what are you hoping that the students who are in this year's ensemble are going to get out of the experience?
That's a great question. So I think two parts for me. At the festival, I'm hoping that people just enjoy coming together and making music on a very, very high level. Having the opportunity to play with the very best of high school jazz performers from across the state. I think that's a really, really exciting opportunity because all those students have common interests and they have a similar pathway to a lot of practicing, a lot of listening, a lot of studying, and a lot of passion for a unique type of music that involves individuality and soloing and all of that. So I'm looking forward to that part of it. But long term, I'm really hoping that they're just inspired. I think that is our biggest part about studying anything is inspiration. It could even be you have a great interest in world history. If you have an inspiration to study that, no one has to require that of you. No one has to give you assignments or force you to do that. And I think the same thing in music. If we're truly inspired, then we're going to be seeking out a teacher rather than relying on a teacher for assignments. We're going to be looking for recordings on our own and doing the history of a tune like in a mellow tone rather than a teacher giving you an assignment or requiring something of you. So I'm hoping that they'll just be inspired. I'm also hoping that they can create connections with each other and possibly stay in touch. There's a few people from All-State Jazz Ensemble when I was in it all those years ago that I am still in touch with, friendships that were made at that festival.
Yeah, and I think that is such an important point to emphasize. I've heard that a few times from other guest conductors we've talked to, and that's my experience. I mean, and I still run into people and we're like, wait a minute, we were in district band or region band together. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't even realize it now. And
Right.
then we start telling stories from that years ago. So I just love, that's such a key point, I think, that experience.
Yeah, the network is so big.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania being such a big state and our sort of east and west sides being so big, and that's one thing one of the great things about All-State is it brings the east and west together, and we rarely get to do that.
Yeah. So then picking up on that, so then what is it like for you, as the conductor to be there in this environment where you're bringing kind of the best of the best from all over the state to come together for this truly once in a lifetime music making experience? What is it like for you as the conductor?
Well, going off something I said earlier about inspiration, I think inspiration is cyclical. With my students at Slippery Rock and at Carnegie Mellon, and some students that come to my house to study, the inspiration works both ways. When I see a student doing really, really well, that motivates me to continue working, and maybe they see me play professionally or come out to a student concert, and that inspires them. So I think I'm looking forward to working with the students there because I'm going to be inspired by them, and hopefully I can just pass the torch like it was passed to me. I think it's education in general is just such a pay it forward thing. We don't have it for ourselves. We take it and we hold it for a bit. Hopefully we grow it, and then we pass it on to the next generation.
I love the way that you put it that way, because that's so true. So we know we have a lot of students watching this podcast. So we'll round out with this question. What is the one thing that you would want the students who are going to be in the All-State Jazz Ensemble to know about you before they arrive in Erie before that first downbeat? What do you want them to know?
Oh, I don't know if I should give them a warning or what I should do. No, I'm very inspired by the music. I'm very deeply inspired by the music. And for me, something my students hear all the time is that I talk about serving the music. So it's when I'm in front of the group, I'm cautious to say things like, can you play that louder for me? It's really, can you play that louder for the music? Because that's what the music demands there. So as a director, I am almost like the medium. I'm almost just sort of like, trying to take the group to the next level. I don't make any sound up there. It's all up to the students to do it. And in fact, in the jazz ensemble situation, we do very little conducting. So I'm going to be very, very intense, but I'm going to be working to just serve the music. And as I wrote in the notes for preparation, studying the recordings and being able to mimic them as much as possible is really the most important thing. It will sound like our group of students no matter what, but we have to make sure that we serve the history of the music. We have to be aware of those recordings and who played it and how they played it, and we'll work together to do our version of it, but it's important that we serve the music.
Well, Dr. Jason Kush, we are looking forward to this in April. It'll be here before we know it. Looking forward to seeing you there and to seeing what you do with the All-State Jazz Ensemble. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, I greatly appreciate the opportunity. And students, let's do this.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So thanks again, and thank you all for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note Podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, the Grove City College Department of Music. We'll see you next time.